Every holiday, my cousin Lena tried to seduce my boyfriend right in front of me, but this year, he finally chose me over her. My name is Maya, and I am 32 years old. I grew up in Michigan, in one of those families where everyone lives within 20 miles of each other, and you are basically required to show up to every holiday gathering or face the wrath of Grandma Ruth. Lena is my cousin on my mom's side. She is 2 years younger than me, and she has been the golden child of the family since we were kids. Here's the thing about Lena. She is beautiful, like genuinely, annoyingly beautiful. Long blonde hair, green eyes, perfect body. The kind of woman who could wear a trash bag and still have men tripping over themselves. And she knows it. She has known it since we were teenagers. The first time it happened, I was 23. I had just started dating this guy named Alex. He was a graphic designer, really sweet, kind of shy. We had been together for about 4 months, and I was nervous about bringing him to Thanksgiving because my family can be a lot. But Alex insisted. He said he wanted to meet everyone, said he was serious about me. The dinner was at Aunt Carol's house. Lena showed up wearing this tiny red dress that was completely inappropriate for a family Thanksgiving, but nobody said anything. Nobody ever says anything to Lena. My mom just gave me this look like, here we go. Then she went back to mashing potatoes. Alex and I were sitting on the couch after dinner, just talking with my uncle about football or whatever. Then Lena came over. She squeezed herself between us. Literally. She just sat down on the couch and pushed herself into the middle, pressing her leg against Alex's leg. She started asking him all these questions about his work, touching his arm when she laughed, leaning forward so he could see down her dress. I was sitting right there, and she was acting like I did not exist. Alex looked uncomfortable, but also, he's a guy, and Lena is Lena. By the end of the night, I caught them talking alone in the kitchen. She had her hand on his chest, laughing at something he said. When they saw me, Lena just smiled this innocent smile and said, I was just telling Alex how lucky he is to have you. Alex and I broke up 3 weeks later. He said he needed space, that he wasn't ready for something serious. 2 months after that, I saw him tagged in one of Lena's Instagram photos. They were at some bar downtown. He had his arm around her waist. That was the pattern. Every single relationship I had, every single guy I brought home, Lena would sink her claws in. That was the pattern. Every single relationship I had, every single guy I brought home, Lena would sink her claws in. It did not matter if it was Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, 4th of July. If I showed up with a date, she showed up looking like she was going to a nightclub. And by the end of the night, she would have his attention. There was Lucas, the teacher I dated when I was 25. Lena cornered him by the dessert table and spent 30 minutes telling him about her charity work with underprivileged kids. They exchanged numbers to coordinate a volunteer opportunity. I found out later they had been texting for weeks. There was Aaron, the accountant. Lena asked him to help her move some furniture at her apartment. I was not invited. When I asked Aaron about it, he got defensive. He said I was being jealous. He said I was controlling. There was James, there was Tyler, there was Christopher, every single one. The worst part was that my family just let it happen. My mom would pull me aside and tell me that Lena was young and did not mean anything by it. My aunt would say that I should not bring men around if I could not handle a little competition. My grandma told me I should work on being more feminine. Maybe then I could keep a man interested. So I stopped bringing dates to family events. For years, I just showed up alone. I told my family I was focusing on my career, that I was happy being single. The truth was I was dating. I just refused to give Lena any more ammunition. But then I turned 31, and I met someone. His name was Ethan, and he was perfect. A doctor, funny, kind, good-looking. We had been together for 8 months, and it was the most stable, healthy relationship I had ever had. He kept asking to meet my family. I kept making excuses. Eventually, Christmas was coming up, and I could not avoid it anymore. So I told Ethan about Lena. I sat him down and explained everything, every detail, every pattern, every holiday. I told him she would probably try something, that I needed him to just ignore her, stay close to me, not fall for her games. Ethan laughed. He actually laughed. Maya, I am a grown man. I am not going to let your cousin seduce me at a Christmas party. I love you. Stop worrying. I wanted to believe him. I really did. Christmas Eve arrived. We drove to my parents' house. I was so anxious I felt sick. Ethan kept holding my hand, telling me everything would be fine. Lena was already there when we arrived. She was wearing this white sweater dress that looked like it had been painted on, high heels that made her legs look like they went on forever. Her hair was in perfect waves. She looked like a Victoria's Secret model who got lost on the way to a photo shoot. She saw Ethan, and her eyes lit up. You must be Ethan, she said, walking over with this big smile. I've heard so much about you. Maya is so lucky. She hugged him. It lasted too long. Ethan was polite but distant. He kept his arm around my waist, made a point of kissing my forehead, stayed by my side. I started to relax. Maybe this time would be different. Maybe Ethan really was different. But Lena was patient. She always was. She spent the whole evening circling us like a shark, joining whatever conversation we were in, laughing at Ethan's jokes, asking him questions about his work. She spilled wine on her dress, then asked Ethan to help her clean it up. Because he's a doctor, he must know how to get stains out. I watched him hesitate. I watched him look at me. Then I watched him follow her to the kitchen. They were gone for 15 minutes. When they came back, Lena's dress was fine, and Ethan looked flushed. He said they were just talking, that she was asking him medical questions about her mom's knee surgery. I wanted to scream. We left early. I told my family I had a headache. Ethan drove home in silence. I cried in the passenger seat. He swore nothing happened. He swore he loved me. He said Lena was just friendly, that I was overreacting, but I could see it in his eyes. That same look all the others had, that curiosity, that interest. We broke up in February. He said he needed to focus on his residency. I saw him at a restaurant in March. He was with a blonde woman. It was not Lena, but it might as well have been. I was done. I stopped dating. I stopped going to family events. I told my mom I was busy with work, that I would visit when I could. She was disappointed. I did not care anymore. I was tired of being humiliated. I was tired of Lena winning. Then something weird happened. I started volunteering at a literacy program at the local library. One of the programs they had was corresponding with inmates who were trying to improve their reading and writing skills. I signed up because I needed something to do with my time. And I figured helping people learn to read was a good cause. They matched me with an inmate named Noah. He was 34, serving the last 2 years of a 7-year sentence for armed robbery. His first letter was short, just a few sentences, thanking me for volunteering, saying he hoped to improve his writing before he got out. I wrote back. I told him about my work as a project manager at a tech company, about my love for hiking, about the weather in Michigan. Basic stuff. He wrote back with more details. He told me about growing up in Detroit, about making bad choices when he was young, about how prison had given him time to think about the man he wanted to be. His writing was rough, but honest. There was something raw about it that I found refreshing. We kept writing. Once a week at first, then twice a week, then almost every day. Noah told me about the books he was reading, about the anger management classes he was taking, about his plans for when he got out. He wanted to get a job in construction, maybe go to community college eventually. He had an aunt in Grand Rapids who said he could stay with her until he got on his feet. I told him about my family, about Lena, about feeling invisible and inadequate and angry. Noah did not judge me. He did not tell me to be more confident. He did not tell me to just ignore her. He said, "Your cousin sounds like a miserable person who only feels good when she is making other people feel bad. That is not about you. That is about her." Something about the way he said it, the simplicity of it, it made sense to me. We wrote to each other for 8 months. I started looking forward to his letters more than anything else in my week. He was funny, thoughtful, vulnerable, in ways that the men I had dated never were. Maybe it was because he was in prison and had nothing to lose, or maybe it was just who he was. Then one day, he wrote and told me he was getting out in 2 months. He asked if I would be willing to meet him in person, maybe grab coffee, no pressure. He said he understood if I said no, that he knew the situation was complicated. I said yes. I do not know why I said yes. Maybe I was lonely. Maybe I was curious. Maybe I just wanted something in my life that was different, something that was mine, something Lena could not touch. Noah got out in October. We met at a coffee shop in Grand Rapids. I was nervous, obviously. This was a man I had been writing to for months, but I had never seen him. Not really, just the small, blurry photo that came with his first letter. He walked in, and I recognized him immediately. Tall, broad shoulders, dark hair cut short, a nervous smile. He was handsome in this unexpected way. Not polished like the guys I usually dated, but real. We talked for 3 hours. It was easy, comfortable. Nothing like I expected. He told me about adjusting to being out, about his job doing drywall work, about staying with his aunt. I told him about my job, my apartment, my terrible family. He asked if he could see me again. I said yes. We started dating. Officially, I guess, though it felt strange to call it that at first. We went to movies. We got dinner. We went for walks along the river. He was different from anyone I had ever been with. He listened when I talked. He did not play games. He said what he meant. He understood me in this way that felt almost scary. He could tell when I was anxious or upset before I said anything. He knew when I needed space and when I needed to be held. It felt like having someone actually see me for the first time in my life. My mom called in November. She asked if I was coming to Thanksgiving. I had been avoiding her calls, but I finally picked up. She said the whole family missed me, that Grandma Ruth was asking about me, that it had been almost a year since I had come to a holiday. I told her I would think about it. That night, Noah and I were lying in bed. I mentioned it. He asked why I was hesitant, so I told him, again, about Lena, about the pattern, about how I could not handle watching it happen one more time. Noah was quiet for a minute, then he said, "Take me." I laughed. I said, "You do not want to meet my family. Trust me." Noah said, "I am serious. Take me to Thanksgiving. Let me meet this cousin of yours." I told him it was a bad idea. I told him Lena would eat him alive, that she had destroyed every relationship I had ever brought around her. I told him she was beautiful, manipulative, ruthless. Noah just shrugged. He said, "I have been in prison for 7 years. I think I can handle your cousin." I thought about it. Then I thought, screw it. What was the worst that could happen? Lena would seduce Noah. I would lose another relationship. I would never speak to my family again. I was already halfway there, so I said yes. Thanksgiving morning, I woke up with this knot in my stomach. Noah seemed calm. He wore a simple button-down shirt and jeans. Nothing fancy. His hair was neat. He had shaved. He looked good. Normal. Like a regular guy you would bring home to meet your family. We drove to my parents' house. I gave him one more warning. I said, "Lena is going to come after you hard. She is going to flirt. She is going to touch you. She is going to try to get you alone. Please just stay with me. Do not fall for it. Noah took my hand. He said, Maya, I am not going anywhere. I promise. We walked in. The whole family was there. The moment we stepped inside, I felt it. That shift in the air. The kind that made my shoulders tense before my brain could catch up. Voices filled the house. Laughter, plates clinking, the smell of roasted turkey and buttered rolls. Everyone turned when we walked in. My mother smiled first. That polite, careful smile she saved for guests she did not fully trust. She said, Maya, you're here. Then her eyes moved to Noah. And you must be... Before I could answer, Lena appeared. She came down the stairs slowly, like she wanted every eye on her. She wore a deep green dress, soft fabric, low neckline, nothing inappropriate, just enough. Her hair fell perfectly over one shoulder. Her makeup was light, effortless. She smiled when she saw me. Not warm, not cold, calculated. Then her gaze slid to Noah and stopped. I watched it happen. That pause, that tiny inhale, that flicker of interest she never bothered to hide. She walked straight toward us. She said, Maya, you didn't tell me you were bringing someone. I said, this is Noah, my boyfriend. I emphasized the word, boyfriend. Lena extended her hand. She said, Lena. Her fingers stayed wrapped around his longer than necessary. Her thumb brushed his knuckles, once, twice. I felt my jaw tighten. Noah smiled politely. He said, nice to meet you. Lena tilted her head. She said, wow, you have a very calm energy. Then, looking straight at him, she added, most men don't. I stepped closer to Noah. I said, we just got here. Where should we put our coats? Lena didn't look at me. She said, oh, I'll show you. She turned, then glanced back at Noah. She said, come on, I want to give you the tour. My chest tightened. I said, he can stay with me. Lena laughed softly. She said, oh, relax, Maya. I'm not going to steal him. She smiled again, that perfect smile, the one that had ruined everything before. Noah looked at me. I nodded, once. We followed her down the hall, and that was when I realized something terrifying. Lena wasn't flirting blindly. She was testing him. Lena walked slowly, too slowly, like she wanted Noah to notice the way her hips moved. She talked the whole time. She said, so how did you two meet? I answered before Noah could. Work? It was a lie, but Lena didn't need the truth. She hummed softly. She said, that's nice. Men usually meet me in much more interesting ways. She stopped at the coat closet. She took Noah's jacket. Her fingers brushed his chest when she reached for it. Accidental, on purpose. She said, you have broad shoulders. I said, Lena. She smiled at me, sweet, innocent. What? I was giving a compliment. She hung up his jacket, then turned back to him. She said, you seem different from the men Maya usually dates. I felt heat rise to my face. Noah asked calmly, how so? Lena's eyes lit up. She said, they're usually desperate. She leaned against the wall, crossed her arms. The dress shifted. She said, they chase validation, attention, control. She took a step closer to him. You don't. I watched Noah carefully, waiting, bracing. He didn't move. He said, I've had enough chaos in my life. Lena raised an eyebrow. Oh? Yes, he said. I prefer peace. That was when I saw it, that flash of irritation in her eyes. She laughed. She said, careful, Noah. Women like me can be very tempting. She reached out. Her finger hooked lightly into his sleeve. I held my breath. Noah gently stepped back. He said, I'm here with Maya. Simple, clear. Lena blinked. Once, twice. She smiled again, but this time it didn't reach her eyes. She said, well, dinner's almost ready. She turned and walked away. I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding. Noah squeezed my hand. He whispered, is that what you meant? I nodded. But inside, something shifted. Because Lena didn't lose interest when she was rejected. She escalated. Dinner was loud. Too loud. Everyone talked at once. Plates scraped, wine glasses clinked, laughter rose and fell like waves. Lena sat across from us, directly across. Her knee brushed Noah's under the table. Once. I froze. I watched his face, waiting for a reaction. He shifted his leg away, didn't look at her. Lena smiled into her wine glass. She raised it. She said, to family. And new faces. Everyone echoed the toast. I didn't. Halfway through dinner, Lena leaned forward. She said, Noah, what do you do? He answered politely. I work construction. She laughed. That explains it, she said. The arms. My fork clinked against my plate. Noah didn't smile. He said, it pays the bills. She tilted her head. You seem restrained. She reached across the table. Her fingers brushed his wrist. I pushed my chair back slightly. I said, Lena, can you pass the salt? She didn't look at me. She said, do you ever feel like you've lived before your life even started, Noah? The table quieted. My heart slammed against my ribs. Noah's jaw tightened. He said, yes. Lena's smile sharpened. She said, care to explain? Noah looked around the table, then at me. He said, no. Silence. My mother cleared her throat. Someone changed the subject, but Lena wasn't finished. After dinner, people started drifting into the living room. Dessert was being served. I stood up. I said, Noah, help me with the dishes. Lena stood too. She said, oh, let me help. In the kitchen, the air felt heavy. Lena leaned against the counter. She said quietly, you're very interesting. Noah said, I'm taken. She smiled. She said, that's never stopped anyone before. Noah met her gaze. He said, it stops me. She stared at him, longer than necessary. Then she laughed. She said, well, we'll see. And in that moment, I knew. Thanksgiving wasn't the end. It was the beginning. That night, I barely slept. I lay awake replaying every moment, every look, every touch that had been just a second too long. Noah slept beside me, peaceful, unbothered, like Lena hadn't crawled under my skin and rearranged my thoughts. I stared at the ceiling and realized something uncomfortable. Lena had never failed before. Every man, every time. She didn't flirt for attention. She hunted for control. And when she didn't get it, she rewrote the game. The next morning, my phone buzzed. A message from Lena. Hope you got home safe. Noah seems special. My stomach dropped. I didn't reply. An hour later, another message. You're lucky. Men like that don't come around often. I handed the phone to Noah. He read it. Once. Then again. He looked at me. He said, do you want me to block her? That was the moment. The test. Old me would have said yes immediately, would have panicked, would have tried to control the situation, but I shook my head. I said, no. He frowned. Why not? Because blocking her would give her power. Because she thrived on reactions. Because I was done playing defense. I said, she wants a response. Any response. Noah nodded slowly. He said, then what do we do? I sat up. I said, we draw a line, together. That afternoon, Lena showed up at my parents' house, unannounced. She acted casual, like she hadn't spent the night poking at my relationship. She hugged me. I didn't hug back. She noticed. She smiled. She said, everything okay? I met her eyes. I said, don't message my boyfriend again. Her smile faltered, just slightly. She said, I was just being friendly. I said, no, you weren't. The room went quiet. Lena laughed, too loudly. She said, you're being dramatic. I didn't raise my voice. I said, you don't get access to him. You don't get access to my relationship. And if you cross that line again, you won't get access to me either. Her eyes hardened. She said, you think he'll stay? That one landed. But I didn't flinch. I said, yes. She studied me, really studied me. Then she smiled again. But this time, there was nothing playful left in it. She said, we'll see. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't afraid. Lena didn't strike immediately. That was how I knew she was planning something. She went quiet. No messages, no comments, no passive-aggressive smiles at family gatherings. Silence. The kind that felt heavier than confrontation. A week passed. Then two. Noah noticed it too. He said, she's waiting. I nodded. She always waits, I said, until people get comfortable again. Then it happened. A message request. Not to me. To Noah. From a number he didn't recognize. He handed me his phone without a word. The message read, hey, it's Lena. I hope this isn't weird. I just wanted to apologize if I made things awkward at Thanksgiving. I laughed. Of course. The apology. The reset. Noah scrolled. Another message came in. I really respect you for standing by Maya. She's lucky to have you. I felt my jaw tighten. That was Lena's favorite trick. Praise before poison. Noah looked at me. He said, want me to respond? I thought for a moment. Then I smiled. I said, yes, but not the way she expects. He raised an eyebrow. I took the phone. I typed carefully, slowly. Hi, Lena. Thanks for reaching out. I showed this message to Maya, and we talked about it together. We're good. Then I handed the phone back. We waited. The reply came almost instantly. Oh, I didn't realize you'd show her. There it was. The slip. Noah typed this time. We don't keep secrets. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Then nothing. Minutes passed. Then another message. I just wanted to make sure Maya's okay. She seemed insecure. That one stung, even though I expected it. Noah didn't hesitate. She's confident enough to tell people when they cross a line. Silence. Hours went by. No response. That night, I got a call from my mother. She said, did something happen between you and Lena? I closed my eyes. Here it was. I said, she's been messaging my boyfriend. A pause. Then my mother sighed. She says you're overreacting. I smiled, not because it was funny, but because it was predictable. I said, I'm not reacting. I'm responding. My mother didn't argue. That was new. The next day, my aunt canceled a brunch. Said things felt tense. That was Lena's doing too. She was painting me as unstable, defensive, jealous. She was setting the stage. But what Lena didn't know was that I'd already learned how she played. And this time, I wasn't trying to survive her. I was documenting her. I started keeping everything. Screenshots, dates, times, exact wording. Not because I wanted revenge, but because I wanted clarity. Gaslighting only works when memory is blurry. Mine wasn't. Lena tried again 3 days later. This time, she didn't message Noah directly. She tagged him, a photo on social media, old from Thanksgiving. She captioned it, funny how first impressions can be so misleading. People commented, laughing emojis, question marks. I didn't react. That bothered her more than anything. An hour later, Noah's phone buzzed. A new message, different number. I don't want to cause problems, but Maya has always had issues with jealousy. I'm worried about you. Noah handed me the phone. I added it to the folder. Then I replied, from my account. Lena, please stop contacting my partner. This is the 3rd number you've used. I'm documenting this. 5 minutes passed. 10. Then my phone rang. Her name lit up the screen. I answered. She didn't say hello. She said, are you threatening me? I said, no, I'm setting a boundary. She laughed, sharp. You sound unhinged. I stayed calm. I said, you contacted Noah after I asked you not to, multiple times, from different numbers. That's not concern. That's fixation. Silence. Then she said, You think anyone will believe you? That was the moment. I opened the folder. I scrolled. I said, I don't need everyone. Just the truth. Her breathing changed. She said, You're ruining the family. I said, No, I'm just not letting you rewrite me. She hung up. 2 days later, my aunt invited everyone to a group chat. Family only. Lena had already posted a long message about how I'd changed, how prison men weren't safe, how she was just looking out for me. I didn't respond immediately. I waited. Then I sent one message. Short. Please stop contacting my partner. Screenshots available if needed. The chat went silent. Then my cousin replied, What screenshots? I attached 5. Just 5. Enough. Lena left the group. No goodbye. No explanation. That night, Noah wrapped his arms around me. He said, I'm proud of you. I rested my head against his chest. I said, She always counted on me staying quiet. He kissed my forehead. Well, he said, Looks like she miscalculated. And for the first time, I didn't feel like the problem. I felt free. The next morning, my phone blew up. Messages from cousins, aunts, uncles, some angry, some confused, some secretly supportive. My mom called first. Claire, what did you do? She asked, voice tight. I set boundaries, I said calmly. She was silent. Finally, she sighed. Lena is our family. You know how she is. She'll be hurt. I swallowed my frustration. Yes, but hurting me repeatedly isn't okay. You've seen it happen for years. My brother texted next. Finally, someone called her out. That made me smile. For the first time, someone in the family wasn't taking her side automatically. The next few days were tense. Every family gathering became a minefield of passive-aggressive comments. But I stayed strong. Noah stayed close, holding my hand whenever someone even glanced at me sideways. Lena, however, wasn't done. She texted me directly once more. Claire, why are you turning everyone against me? I typed carefully. I'm not turning anyone against you. I'm just showing that your behavior has consequences. She read it. No reply. I didn't expect one. A week later, I got a call from Jessica. She's planning something, Jessica warned. My heart sank. What now? I asked. She's talking about confronting Noah in public. She wants to embarrass you. I took a deep breath. Then we'll be ready, I said. Noah and I agreed. No contact, no reaction. Lena thrived on chaos. Without an audience, she had nothing. The day she attempted the public confrontation, she walked into the cafe where Noah worked. I stayed home. I watched from a distance. She approached him, trying the same manipulative tone she always used. But Noah didn't flinch. He stood tall, calm, and professional. She snapped, started yelling, drawing attention. A manager stepped in. Police were called, not for Noah, but to calm Lena down. The news spread fast. Family members called me in shock. She lost it, one whispered. I didn't feel victorious. I felt relieved. Lena's reign of control had ended. Not because I fought, but because I didn't play. Noah texted me later. She can't touch you anymore. You're untouchable now. I smiled. For the first time in years, I believed him. 2 months later, things began to shift. Lena didn't call. She didn't text. She didn't post anything passive-aggressive online. The silence was unsettling. I kept expecting the next storm, but it never came. Then one evening, Jessica called. Claire, she's in therapy now, she said quietly. I froze. Wait, what do you mean? She's actually going. A real program this time. She's trying to work on herself. She asked me not to tell you, but I thought you should know. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to be skeptical. Part of me wanted to believe it. Noah, of course, smiled. She's finally realizing she can't control everyone else to feel better about herself, he said. I nodded. It felt surreal. Weeks went by. Occasionally, I'd get a short text from Lena. Nothing manipulative, just acknowledgement. I'm working on myself. I'm sorry for everything. I didn't reply at first. Then slowly I started. Short, careful messages. I see that. Keep going. That's good. It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't trust. But it was progress. I realized then I didn't need her to be perfect. I didn't need my family to change overnight. I just needed to protect myself, and I had done that. Noah stayed by my side, calm, steady, unwavering. Our life became quiet, routine, safe. He asked me one night as we were cooking dinner, do you ever think about the past? I smiled. Sometimes, I admitted, but I'm more focused on right now, on us. Rocket barked, happy to get attention. Noah laughed and rubbed his head. Right now is perfect, he said. I realized he was right. I didn't need to win every battle. I didn't need to change my family. I just needed to hold on to the people who actually loved me and the life I chose for myself. Lena's change didn't erase the past, but it meant the future could finally be different. And for the first time in a long time, I felt hope. It was late November. Thanksgiving was approaching again, and for the first time in years, I actually considered going. I checked with Noah first. I'll be there with you, he said. His confidence calmed me more than I expected. We drove to my parents' house together. I felt the familiar knot in my stomach, the one that had haunted me every time I considered a family gathering. But this time it wasn't fear. It was anticipation. We walked in, and my mom looked genuinely happy to see me. Claire, you came, she exclaimed, hugging me. I smiled politely, holding Noah's hand. The living room looked the same. Festive decorations, the smell of roasting turkey, the chatter of relatives. And there she was, Lena. She saw me immediately and froze for a second. Her hair wasn't perfect. Her makeup wasn't immaculate. She looked human. She approached slowly, hands slightly shaking. Claire, she said quietly. I nodded. Noah squeezed my hand reassuringly. Lena took a deep breath. I'm really sorry, she said. I studied her carefully. No games, no smirk, no manipulative charm, just vulnerability. It means a lot that you're saying that, I said. She looked down. I'm trying. I really am, she admitted. I realized then that this was what I had wanted all along. Not revenge, not dominance, but for her to actually confront her own issues. Noah stayed close, as always. We spent the evening at the dinner table. Lena didn't try to monopolize anyone's attention. She smiled politely, answered questions, and even complimented my cooking. It was surreal to see the dynamics so different. I caught my mom's eye, and she gave me a small, approving nod. Not that I needed it. For the first time, I felt like I was part of a normal family event, not a battlefield. Later, Lena came over while I was clearing the table. Claire, thank you for giving me a chance to be here without ruining things, she whispered. I nodded. Just keep working on yourself, I said. She smiled faintly. That's the plan, she replied. I went to the living room and found Noah leaning against the couch, watching me with a calm smile. See, he said. I laughed softly. Yeah, you were right. This feels different. For the first time in years, I felt like I didn't have to fight to protect my happiness. It was just there, safe, quiet, mine. The weeks after Thanksgiving were strange. Lena seemed different, but I couldn't let myself forget the past. Old habits die hard, and I had learned that the hard way. She sent short, polite messages. Nothing manipulative, nothing aggressive. Thank you for letting me come to Thanksgiving. I'm proud of the life you've built. Noah watched my reactions quietly. You're skeptical, he said one evening as we sat on the couch. Rocket curled up between us. I have reason to be, I admitted. He laughed softly. You've survived worse than this, he said. I knew he was right. One Saturday, Lena called. Can we meet? She asked. I hesitated, but curiosity won. We met at a small coffee shop downtown. She looked nervous, fidgeting with her cup. I wanted to explain more, she said, her voice trembling. She took a deep breath. I've been seeing my therapist weekly. I've been learning why I do the things I do, why I feel invisible when I see your life. I've been selfish, she admitted. I stayed quiet, letting her talk. And I'm trying not to hurt anyone anymore. Not you, not my friends, not my family, she continued. It was strange hearing it from her after all the chaos she had caused. Actions speak louder than words, I reminded her gently. She nodded, tears brimming. I know, she whispered. That's why I came today, just to say, thank you, and I'm sorry again, for everything. I studied her. No manipulative charm, no fake smiles, just a young woman finally facing herself. I wanted to believe her, but I also knew I had to protect my life, my happiness. Thank you for saying that, I said carefully, but I'm not ready to forgive yet. I need to see consistent change first. She nodded solemnly. I understand, she said. We sat in silence for a few minutes. Then she smiled faintly. Maybe one day, we could be friends, she said softly. I nodded slowly, unsure. Maybe, I replied. As we parted ways, I felt a strange mix of relief and apprehension. Relief that she wasn't trying to manipulate me. Apprehension because I knew the journey wasn't over. Noah was waiting in the car. Everything okay? He asked as I climbed in. I smiled softly. Yes, I said. For the first time in years, I didn't feel the weight of constant fear, just cautious hope. And that was enough. It was early spring when I got the call from Jessica. Claire, you're not going to believe this, and she said, her voice a mix of excitement and nerves. I braced myself. What is it? I asked. Lena's engaged, she said. I froze mid-step. Engaged? Engaged? To who? I asked cautiously. To a woman named Monica. They met at her therapy group. She says Lena's different now, calmer, happier, more genuine, Jessica continued. I exhaled slowly, a mix of disbelief and cautious relief. So, she's really changed? I asked quietly. Seems like it, Jessica said. She wants to invite you to the wedding, but she's too nervous to ask directly. I suggested she reach out, but she's hesitant. I sank back in my chair. My mind raced. Part of me wanted to ignore it. Part of me was curious. I thought about Noah. What do you think? I asked aloud. He smiled softly, brushing my hair from my face. I think it's up to you. You decide if you're ready to see her again. I'll support whatever choice you make, he said. His calm confidence steadied me. That night, I called Lena. We talked for 2 hours. She told me about Monica, how therapy was helping her, and how she was trying to build a life that didn't revolve around male attention. I told her about my life with Noah, our apartment, and Rocket. It was strange, talking to her like a normal person instead of an enemy. By the end of the call, she asked if I would come to the wedding. She said she'd understand if I said no, but it would mean a lot to her if I were there. I hesitated. Then I remembered everything I had learned. People can change, sometimes slowly, sometimes messily. I thought about Noah, Rocket, and the life we were building. Finally, I said, yes, I'll come. She sounded relieved and grateful. Thank you, Claire, really, she whispered. I smiled softly. I'll see you there, I said. I hung up the phone and turned to Noah, who had been listening quietly. Well, he asked. I'm going, I said. He grinned, pulling me into a hug. Then we're going together, he said. And for the first time in a long time, I felt a sense of closure approaching, not just with Lena, but with everything my family had put me through. The wedding was 2 months away. I didn't know how I would feel seeing my family again, seeing Lena marry someone and claim to be a changed person. I didn't know if I truly believed people could change or if Lena was just better at hiding her demons. But I knew one thing for certain. I had Noah, Rocket, and a life that was mine. And that was enough. The morning of the wedding felt surreal. I woke up with a knot in my stomach and a flutter of excitement in my chest. Noah made coffee while Rocket snoozed on the couch, tail wagging every time we looked at him. "We're really doing this," I whispered, more to myself than to him. Noah kissed my forehead. "We're going to be fine," he said. "I promise. Just take it one step at a time." I nodded, trying to steady my nerves. The drive to the venue was quiet, peaceful. Noah held my hand, squeezing it lightly whenever I felt the old anxiety creeping in. The ceremony was in a small garden, sunlight filtering through blossoming trees. Guests were chatting, laughing, and Lena looked different, calm, genuine, at peace. She wore a simple ivory dress that suited her. No dramatic flair, no exaggerated glamour. Monica looked radiant too, smiling warmly, her hand holding Lena's firmly. As they exchanged vows, I couldn't help but notice Lena's sincerity. No manipulative glances, no desperate need for attention, just love. It was hard not to feel a pang of emotion. Part of me remembered all the pain she had caused me, but seeing her truly happy, even a little hope stirred in my chest. Noah gently squeezed my hand, sensing my thoughts. "You're okay?" he asked quietly. I smiled, nodding. "I am," I said. "This feels right." After the ceremony, the reception was full of laughter, music, and light. Lena came over to greet me. "Claire," she began, her voice calm, steady. I braced myself. "I just want to say thank you for giving me a chance, for seeing that I could change. I know I hurt you, and I'll spend the rest of my life trying to be better," she said. I studied her face carefully. No hidden agenda, no manipulation, just honesty. "I see that," I said softly. "I still need my distance, but I respect your effort. I hope you and Monica are very happy." She nodded, a small smile forming. "Thank you, Claire. That means a lot," she said. We hugged briefly, a quiet acknowledgement of the past and a fragile truce. Noah watched, proud but silent, letting me process it in my own way. Throughout the evening, Lena and Monica's love was unmistakable. My family surprisingly gave us space, and the old tensions seemed muted, like everyone had finally moved forward. I danced with Noah, laughed with Rocket curled under the table near our feet, and felt a calm I hadn't felt in years. Lena caught my eye across the room and nodded. No words were exchanged, but it felt like an unspoken agreement. A chapter had ended, and a new one had begun. For the first time, I realized my life was no longer defined by her games or by my family's expectations. It was defined by me, by Noah, by the life we were building together. And that was more than enough. After the wedding, life settled into a rhythm I had never truly known. Noah and I returned to our little apartment, Rocket bounding ahead as if he knew we were finally free of the old chaos. We planted flowers on the balcony, argued playfully about whether to adopt a cat, and spent quiet evenings cooking together. It was normal, ordinary, and I loved it. For the first time, I didn't feel like I was competing with anyone. Noah never wavered, never questioned my choices, never allowed anyone to make me feel small. He made me laugh every day, even in the dullest moments, and I realized that peace was possible when you were with someone who truly saw you. A few weeks later, I got a message from Lena. "Claire," it said, "I just wanted to thank you again for coming to the wedding. I hope you can see how much I'm trying to change. I'm learning slowly, but I want to be better." I read it carefully, then put my phone down. Noah leaned over, curious. "She's trying," I said. "That's all I need to know. I'm not involved beyond that." And I wasn't. My mom still called sometimes, asking if I'd attend holidays. I politely declined, explaining I was building my own family and boundaries were important. She grumbled, but eventually accepted it. Even Vanessa, Lena, was on a healthier path. She had a partner, a support system, therapy, and goals beyond validation from men. It didn't erase the past, but it didn't have to. I stopped worrying about her, about my family, about the ways they had tried to control me. I focused on Noah, Rocket, and the life we were creating. We adopted a tiny tabby cat, naming her Luna to balance Rocket's wild energy. Our apartment was small but warm, filled with laughter, the scent of coffee, and the quiet hum of a life, finally ours. One night, Noah and I were lying on the couch, Rocket curled at our feet, Luna snoozing on my lap. "I never thought life could be this simple," I said softly. Noah kissed my forehead. "Simple isn't boring," he said. "It's freedom. It's peace. It's us." I smiled, squeezing his hand. "Yes," I whispered. "It's us." For the first time in my life, I didn't feel invisible. I was seen. I was loved. I had built my own life, protected my own happiness, and nothing, no cousin, no family drama, could take that away. And in that quiet, ordinary, beautiful life, I finally felt whole.